West Bengal Chief Minister Ms. Mamata Banerjee has asked the famous lyricist Javed Akhtar to compose a song on the Khela Hobe theme, which could become the rallying cry for the opposition in the 2024 general elections. But a victory song could soon become a swan song for the opposition because the man who is orchestrating all these moves behind the scene, that is Mr. Prashant Kishor, in my opinion, is being too clever by half. He is guiding Ms. Banerjee into a pitfall from where it would not be easy to get out. He's planning moves that might turn out to be disastrous for the opposition in 2024. Hi, and welcome all to the CAA show. My name is Juggi Bhasin. CAA is, of course, conversations and analysis. So, before I expand further on, what I think is Prashant Kishor's flawed strategy and Ms. Banerjee's unwise moves, a word about her. Even her worst critics will agree that she is a formidable fighter, and on her home turf, it is almost next to impossible to get past her. But mark my words, I use the words home turf. The national game is a different game and a different playing field altogether. Let me explain to you why it won't work. Have we deeply analyzed why Mamata Banerjee won so convincingly in the recent West Bengal elections? There were, of course, many reasons for it, but in my opinion, one big reason was a backfiring of the BJP campaign of the almost vulgar-sounding Didi O Didi campaign by the BJP top brass. The sarcasm plays a subliminal role in the psyche of the women voters in Bengal. It deeply offended them. It was as if someone from the center had swooped down on Bengal and made fun of their own. It could not be tolerated. Now, in the same way, the feisty Bengal chief minister has landed in Delhi to prepare the ground for the top prize. But her recent visit was what can be best described as a fast and furious flying visit. She intends doing these flying visits every 2 months. And that is my point. Just as the women voters of Bengal rejected central arrogance and jeering of one of their own, do you think it would be so simple for a regional leader to land up in Delhi and downgrade the central government and foist the messaging that a regional leader holds the key to a change of guard in the next elections? Why would this be the case? It is because there is such a thing as a central face of the leadership in this country. The central face of leadership is not to be confused with a Delhi face of leadership. Otherwise, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal would have been the natural choice for a Prime Ministerial candidate. The central face of leadership can only come if one leaves one's regional identity behind. The prime example of someone who has managed that is, of course, Mr. Narendra Modi. When he had determined that he would move to the center and take control of the BJP, he did that at the cost of, in a sense, of leaving Gujarat behind him. It was no coincidence he chose Varanasi and made it his new Karam Bhumi. He wanted to be identified with the heartland, with the center, and it was important for him to be at the center of things. Point being, if Mamata Didi is really serious about a role at the center, she should contest in the next bypoll from maybe Uttar Pradesh or Delhi and proclaim to the world she is serious about a big role at the center. She has to, in more ways than one, leave Bengal behind her. Voters, more than anything else, despise a person who keeps the home base and plays safe and yet wants to venture out to conquer new vistas and territories. The other thing is also to acquire what I call a central phase of leadership. Miss Banerjee's mercurial, tempestuous, and in-your-face manner of functioning might work in Bengal, but it is a distinct liability at the center. The central phase of leadership, if you ask me, is an essential trait to be taken seriously as a prime ministerial aspirant. She has to acquire a calm, level-headed demeanor. Just to buttress this point, at the height of the second wave, when the central government tripped up badly, Prime Minister Modi maintained, despite all the trenchant criticism coming his way, he maintained a steadfast, icy cool demeanor. There was no hint of panic on his face. It was an explosive situation. I'm not sure how Ms. Banerjee would have reacted in a similar situation. In more ways than one, it led to calming the situation during the height of that second wave. If nothing else, the Prime Minister's calm manner did not spread the panic further. Now, let me, in a sense, come to the irony of this developing situation. All the strong regional leaders like Mamata Banerjee, Sharad Pawar, Stalin are hamstrung with a very strong regional identity but a weak central personality. The only person in the opposition who commands a central face and personality is still Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He cannot be identified with one state alone. He does have a central and all India appeal. But he cannot make headway because what I call the Twitterization of his agenda. This aspect of his outreach and personality makes him unsuitable and a non-serious challenger to Mr. Modi. Finally, what does it say of Mr. Prashant Kishor? That he serves two masters. He cannot advise Mamata Banerjee and yet try to realign the Congress to relevance. Does he not know that Mrs. Sonia Gandhi will never accept Mamata Banerjee as a prime ministerial candidate? You know, the thing with clever people is that they meet their hubris when they are right on the top. It just creeps up to them. If Mr. Kishore fails, he will not go down alone. He will drag down the reputations of those who believed in him, who trusted him. Ms. Banerjee should reassess her new strategy to challenge the center in 2024. Yes, we need a strong challenge to the present government, but the present moves by these tall leaders is not the way. So, I will take your leave on this note. Do subscribe to us and press the subscribe button to show support to this new channel. Cheers, and everyone have a great and a good night.